Emergency episode, everybody. I was listening to Rob Veras at Burbank Sports Cards on an IG Live, I believe, or a video, whatever, and it was fantastic. The guy talks so passionately about the hobby. He runs Burbank Cards out there on the West Coast.
What differentiates you besides how loud you can scream into an iPhone? Where is that extra value? You need to be able to sit there and say, I'm doing this with the cards that you don't want, and I'm giving you credit towards the next break. It's just common sense. That way they don't have to ship the cards out. You don't have to receive the cards and just throw them in a triple shoe and hope that somehow you can get something for them down the road, because not one of those cards is something that you want to keep. And I think that's something that needs to be explored when we sit there and stop and say, we want to do this, because honestly, I think we're on a path to do that long term, unless certain things are addressed and people realize it's not just a consumable business like selling jerseys and selling microwaves. This is a two-way collectibles business, and that is entirely different. We need to be able to tap in to the passion of the collector. We need to turn gamblers into collectors, and we need those gamblers to turn into collectors and turn on more people to collect, because this is a very viral industry right now. So in a nutshell, we need to push hobby more than we need to push gambling.
I want to dive into some things that he said, and actually just as I was listening to it, thinking about how I believe sports cards should be distributed in the future. We're going to dive right into it. Before I do get started, a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace, now home to over 33 million cards from baseball's biggest stars like Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, and Mookie Betts, to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man, Thor, and Captain America. COMC has something for every type of collector, so make sure to visit my video links down below, the video description, and the pinned comments to get started on your COMC journey today. All right, I made a video a couple of days ago talking about how I believe that, look, we're just pretending like new product is affordable, it's a good value, and blah, blah, blah. And frankly, it's just not. And it hasn't been for a while. And when I was listening to Rob Veras talk at Burbank Cards, he was talking about kind of that same messaging that he gives. First off, he talked about liquidity is so necessary in this space. When people are buying into a break or they're buying a box of cards, they've got like the few cards that they wanted out of that box, and then what happens to the other cards? There's got to be liquidity there. Burbank is one of these places. It's got tens of millions of cards in their warehouse. They are buyers of cards. They're buying cards all day, and they are some of these liquidity folks that are helping to get those cards that weren't wanted, that you got, and getting them back out into the secondary market so that another collector can come into the store, online, whatever, and find that card. And so it's just about putting collectors, speculators, investors to the product, to the cards, connecting the people. That is what it's really about, and there's a massive disconnect here right now in this hobby as to how we're going about doing that. It's all backwards. Rob says it'd be a good idea for breakers, and manufacturers have done this too. We saw Topps do this with a buyback program. So for certain cards, they bought it back, they give you a credit, that sort of thing. And Rob brings up, hey, breakers should do this too. You know, they buy back cards, they give you a credit on the next break or something to that effect. What if we took it one step further? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for it? What if when a new product comes out, let's just use Prism as an example. Panini Prism is a very, very popular brand. It just is. It's a very popular brand. No matter what happens to it in the future, it's not going to change that people love Panini Prism. And whether it's football, basketball, wrestling cards, whatever it is, it's a very popular brand. What if the entire checklist was available upon release date and it went straight to auction on release date? So you're not opening packs, you're not opening boxes, you're not hoping to be able to buy into a break and get that card or get the team or whatever. Maybe you buy a team and then you get one card of your team out of the break and it's like, okay, well, I guess that's that. What if the entire checklist was put up for auction on release date? And I'm going to go into this further. Let's back up a little bit though. Why in the hell do we not have a bigger hurrah about the release of these products? It's embarrassing to me that I find a product, a great site like a Cardboard Connection that'll put up, Beckett.com does this too, where they put up, the checklist that's coming. But sometimes it's even like, hey, the full checklist will be out as soon as we get it type thing. There's such a laziness that I see with manufacturers currently and just here in recent years of announcing the product and getting people excited about the new product. To me, if you're being serious, I know Sports Card Radio is kind of mentioned, like Louis Vuitton, Nike, they don't run their business like this. This is not how they do it. You should have an event when, let's say, 2025 Topps Chrome Football comes out. There should be an IG Live mixed with a YouTube stream, a big party announcement. Maybe it's a 1 hour, 90 minute something that is breaking down the product, some new design features, the inserts that they've added or that they've brought back that are popular, the big, the players that are exciting in this set, whether it be Wembanyama is coming out, he's a rookie, they've got some highlights that they're playing a Wembanyama. Whatever it is, it should look more like this.
Now, back to Tim.
Thanks, Craig. Today we introduced some amazing new Macs and showed you where we're taking the incredible software platforms that drive our products. This is a day that's been years in the making. One that I've really been looking forward to.
Instead of just, we'll have the full checklist up when we get it. This is like, it's still 1987 when I first started when it comes to new product. And we've got all that. We have the internet. We have the media. It needs to be more of a media spectacle. Michael Rubin should be the one that is doing this. It should be doing at least part of kind of the presentation, just the same way that Tim Cook would do with Apple. It should be taken more seriously because, hell, they're pricing the products like it's serious. What is a case of Flawless? A case of Flawless with what, 3 cards or 5 cards or however many cards you get in it? $7,000, $10,000 off the rack? I mean, it's priced like a serious product. So why aren't we treating it more like one? I just don't understand it. It's embarrassing, frankly. And I think people that are looking from the outside that are used to collecting, you talk about Rolex watches or they collect sports cars. Like you hear about it all the time. There's a new Bugatti that, there's a wait list because they're only going to make 50 of them. They're going to make 12 of them or whatever. And it's $1 million. There's $1 million sports cards that pop out of these products. But the way that it's gone about is just silly. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I would like to see them try this to where they put out, okay, checklist comes out, announcement, checklist, kind of like the NFL schedule where you're like, okay, sweet, NFL schedule coming out. Checklist comes out, the watch party, the party, the announcement party where they show off kind of, okay, this is what that new Topps Chrome design is going to look like. These are the players that are in it. Here's the new inserts, the rookie, here's the stuff. Here's the case hits. Again, we always talk about transparency and print run. Even if they don't give us the print run, but they give us that transparent, like, here's what the insert looks like, here's the case hits. And if you want to get more information, that'd be fantastic. Here's going to be the parallels offered. Here's the different, the gold versions, the whatever. Make it a friggin' spectacle, man. Make the juices flowing. And then if you really want to get eyeballs on this stuff, run it all at 99-cent auctions. Fanatics bought PWCC. They've got an auction site. Use an auction site to sell it or directly on fanatics.com, whatever it is. Wouldn't it be awesome as a Saints fan? Let's say they've got, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out as an example, Bobby Hebert going back to the 80s Saints. That's not a card that anyone gives a crap about if they hit it. The Black Finite 1 of 1 or whatever, the Bobby Hebert card. If that happened to be in the checklist, I might be the only one that's like, oh, sweet. That's out in the checklist. What would be great is I see the checklist. I see it there and it's like, okay, awesome. When they release it, here's a list of the cards that I want to bid on. This is the easiest way for collectors to be able to say, okay, I've identified, here's the cards that I want. It would be awesome for the general public to be able to just get a shot at it, at all these cards. And the thing I understand, it takes away some of the mystery of like, where are these cards? And that's kind of part of the chase. Here's the problem though. Product is too expensive these days to do that anymore. Okay, so that's just the reality. The reality is 5 years ago, Prism hobby boxes were $200. And if you were searching for Luka Doncic stuff, cool. It's $200 for a hobby box. It's not even close to that. It's 4 or 5 times that now for that new basketball release. And I'm just using this as a round numbers, using it as an example. Does the average collector have $1,000 to drop on a box to try to hit this, that, or whatever? No, they don't. They just don't. And so they're forced to then buying into a break spot, trying to figure out how to get into it. It's just a horrible system. It's not efficient. It is not an efficient system right now for people to get to cards. And this is kind of what Rob is talking about. Connecting the collector, the speculator, the investor, whatever you want to call yourself, to the actual cards that they want. It seems like it would be easy, but it's not. It's not easy. What's in it for the manufacturer? You're probably thinking like, yeah, they never do this. They make so much money on it. Think about all the money they spend on packaging and figuring out design the packaging and shipping and all that sort of thing. Dealing with distributors, dealing with breakers, handling bad breakers, mishandling their product. You're handing it off to a bunch of third parties to kind of handle this for you. It would save on so many of these problems. Yeah, you'd still be dealing with maybe quality control stuff where it's like, okay, someone bought the card directly at the site. Maybe there's a QC issue, fine. But think about all the problems that it saves you from, not to mention the fact that it is kind of borderline-ish gambling to where, you don't necessarily want it to get to third-party authorities, regulators, auditors to get it to dive in and really blow it up. Look, if regulators come in, I know a lot of people are like, regulators, please. Regulators come in, it's just going to make everything that much more expensive in an already more expensive hobby. So why don't we save ourselves from all of that BS and just move to more of a system like this? And maybe you don't do this overnight because there's people who are like, hey, I want to open up boxes. I want to be able to still partake. Maybe you have half of your product does it this way that I'm saying, and then the other half is the old way. And see what happens. See if people like the new way better, or they're like, the new way sucks. I want to do it the old way, which frankly, I'm seeing the old way, which is the current way, as not really working right now, based on feedback that I'm seeing all over the place. But what about hobby shops? What's in it for hobby shops? Won't they be in trouble? They don't get the allocation. They can't sell the product. I think that Fanatics, Topps, Panini, whoever it is, they send hobby shop exclusive cards directly to their Topps partners, let's say, that you can only find at the hobby shops. And you send it to them for free. Now, hobby shops don't have to buy it. They're just, because they're partnered up with Topps, they've shown good rapport, they're reselling the Topps products, they're promoting the brand and so forth, whatever. However you want to do it, you send it to them for free along with, and this is something that you could also sell direct on the site, team sets. So look, if you had a 2025 Topps Chrome team set for the New Orleans Saints for $25, because maybe there's just not any real stars. We're talking about base veterans, base cards. So base card team set. But you know what? I'd like to get a good look at the product. I think it would be cool to have the whole New Orleans Saints run on the checklist for $25. I'm probably a buyer. But this is also promoting the collecting of team sets. It's getting back to kind of the way that it was. My wife's uncle that just recently passed away, he had shared with me a bunch of his cards growing up. He had them wrapped in rubber bands. And you know how it was wrapped in rubber bands, how he organized them? By team. And this was 69, 1970 Topps baseball stuff. And so when we look at the history of the hobby, what it was built on, and what people still like to do, but frankly, it just doesn't even make sense to do it now. Now it's just more of like, okay, let me go on eBay and just try to find the team set or piece together the team set. But wouldn't it just be way more efficient for that new product where it's like, boom, here's all the teams. And you also send those out to the hobby shops as well. The hobby shops get, team sets, send them to them for free. These are base cards that are going to go into a landfill anyway, probably, most of them. People just don't, they're ripping through the pack, blah, 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 blah. Here's the hit. And all the other stuff. It goes to a dumpster. It goes on eBay in a lot or whatever. This could be a huge opportunity for manufacturers if they just kind of innovate a little bit. Think outside of the box. But man, I can't think of a cooler way to open up a new product. Show me the full checklist and then auction it off. Okay, we've got this out of 49, we got this out of 99, we got this out of 149, and they're each, being auctioned. And maybe you Dutch auction some of them. So maybe, for the Nebula 1 of 1 or whatever, you do the Dutch auction thing where you start it off at a crazy amount, you move it down. That's fine. But I would say if you want real buzz on the site, if you want mainstream to be talking about it and really get in the news, we got our logo man that just popped up at 99-cent auction, and in 10 days, it sells for what it sells for. And then, of course, it'll go on and, be resold and that sort of thing. But it gives everybody a fair shot at it. It gives everyone a crack at that card. And look, it would make the news. Instead of having Drake open up, 30 cases of Flawless to get nothing, and actually probably thinking like, what the hell did I just do? Have Drake go out there, he buys it, he bids on it, he auctions it. Drake bought this card, kind of like Post Malone ended up buying that 101 Lord of the Rings card. It makes the news. I don't know. I just think this would be kind of a fun way to see a new product get sold, while also giving all collectors, speculators, investors a fair shot at these cards. There's no shenanigans with who gets allocation and who doesn't get allocation. It's just, here it is, cut and dry. Let's do the thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.